So this prompt, as you can see, I'm not a big fan of. At the very least, you can customize the prompt in PowerShell. Let me show you what I have done. So if I do prompt like this, I write a function called prompt in PowerShell. And then I say, I want my prompt to be PowerShell : like so, put a space here. And there's my prompt. Okay. I can make the prompt anything I want it to be. In my case, I like the prompt to be, well, very quiet. So it's just that dot. Also, in PowerShell, you don't necessarily have to work with PowerShell in terms of a text-based environment. Okay, as you'll see here, here's a PowerShell IDE, a PowerShell development environment. This one is called PowerShell Plus, and it's free. There is VS Code, which is another PowerShell IDE, very powerful. It has extensions for everything. PowerShell is one of them. Python is another one. CC++ is another one. You can use Visual Studio Code, VS Code, to write code for really anything. VS Code is free. PowerShell Plus is free. PrimalScript costs money. It's very powerful, though. It's used by developers everywhere. Okay, so that's PrimalScript. There's also something called PowerShell Studio. Okay, also by Sapient Technologies. Okay, so there's PrimalScript, all by Sapient Technologies, and then there's PowerShell Studio. The thing is, behind these IDEs, they integrate with version control systems. They integrate with other tools to help syntax checking, error correction, documenting, color coding commands, and so on to make your scripting job easier. Okay? So these are just some of the IDEs. All right? I've got this lovely base IDE. Now, in my case, the reason I chose this to show you a little demonstration of, and not a IDE, is because I want to show you, well, PowerShell at its core. So what I'm going to do here is I'll show you something. Now, PowerShell commands are broken down into verbs and nouns. Okay? PowerShell commands are broken down into verbs and nouns. So I can do this, for example. I can say get command verb, and I can say stop. And it lists me all of the verbs and the syntax of commandlets. Commandlets are these pre-written modules in PowerShell that complete one task, whatever that one task is. When you combine a bunch of these commandlets together, you end up, well, running code. Okay? So here's a verb stop. So these are all of the commandlets, well, many of them, that have the stop verb in it. Okay? So if I said another verb and I said start, right? Bunch of starts. And the commandlets are broken down into verb dash noun. So the noun might be process. So as you can see, there's a debug process, get process, start and stop and wait. So debug, get, start, stop, and wait are all verbs, and process are all nouns. So for example, if I did service, service is a noun. So get, new, remove, start, resume, and so on. Okay. There's also another noun called child item. That's essentially a way you can retrieve directory information. So one of the things that you want to remember is PowerShell commandlets are broken down into verbs and nouns. Verb-noun. And you can search for them that way. Okay? So keep that in mind. So if you look right here, if I said get process notepad, I can see this notepad right here. This notepad is the only notepad I have open. That's why. When I use the verb get and the command process, this right over here is a commandlet. Get-process is a PowerShell commandlet. Pre-written code that essentially completes a certain task. It has been written, it has been tested, right? It has essentially works without you having to do anything. You can trust that it will do what it's supposed to do. Okay? And then notepad is the name of the process that I'm looking for. So this lists the notepad process. Also, something basic in PowerShell. If you type a $sign before a variable, you can store the result of something into that variable while this session is active. So for example, if I say npprox, short for notepad prox, and I say get process notepad, this notepad prox essentially stored, look right here, npprox, this variable stored the result of this. So if I run this, get process notepad, it gives me the same thing, right, as retrieving this variable, the data from this variable. So the right side of the equal sign went into the left side of the equal sign. Okay, so that $sign denotes a variable, and that variable stored what this thing processed. Now, this changes a little bit. This is a point-in-time image, if you will, of this command. Point-in-time image. If I open up a new notepad, here's a second notepad right here. Think of it as a second process. If I type get process notepad, you'll see I've got two of them, right? Because I've got two notepads open, one here and one here. However, if I run the variable, I only see one. And that's what I meant when I said this variable is a point-in-time image of what this was. Okay? So if I say np now for notepad now, get process notepad, and then I say compare object, and I say npprox with np now, look at what it says. It says on the right-hand side, I open notepad. Right-hand side. This is the right-hand side. This is the left-hand side. This is the side indicator. Compare object is a commandlet. Compare being the verb, object being the noun. This commandlet will let me compare anything. It'll let me compare text files as well. And it'll tell you what's different in them. So I'm able to see that I opened up a brand new notepad when I took this image. If I reverse this, let me clear the screen. If I reverse this and I say np now, npprox, notice a side indicator changed, telling me that I opened up notepad when I did this. And then when I run npprox, np now, notice the difference I see in the two images. What am I trying to show you? I'm trying to show you the depth and breadth behind PowerShell. Let me take this one step further. You're going to love this. Have you guys worked on CSV files? Right? CSV files. I've got the CSV file called actors.csv. If I type actor CSV, this is what it looks like. And I'm going to open actor CSV. Put in a comma right here to make it a proper CSV. Okay, and I'm going to type it. So this is actor, this is zip code, and this is role. I've got 3 columns in this text file. Right, CSV is just a text file, right? If I want to use this as a text file in PowerShell, I can use the import CSV commandlet, import being the verb, CSV being the noun, to have this file be viewed as a proper CSV file. Let's take a look. Create a variable called actors. Take the commandlet import CSV and pass it my CSV file. Look. And now I've got actors as a proper CSV file. I've got actor, the column. See the column? I've got zip code, the column, right here. And I've got role, the column. Okay. And it will tell me what is in them. I can do one thing else. If I say actors and I say get member, in other words, expose to me what this object is. And it says this is a PowerShell custom object, and that it contains a column called actor, property, a column called role, property, and a column called zip code, which is what I created right over here. So if I said, for example, actors count, it will tell me that I've got 3 of them. If I say actors, role, it gives me the role. If I say zip code, it gives me the zip code. Actors gives me everything. If I say actors actor, it gives me the actor that it has. So PowerShell, understands objects natively. Extremely powerful. Let me show you something else. Let's say I want to list all of the processes on my system. Right here, I said get process, and then I piped it to more. Pipe means take this command and send the results of this command into this command. More will just display things 1 page at a time. So as you can see, I've got many Chrome sessions open. And if I press the space bar, a bunch of other thing comes up. And as part of that, I see Notepad. You notice that? I've got this Notepad and this Notepad up here. Right? So if I do get process again, and I say get process, I want to sort object, the CPU object, which is a column CPU in descending order. And I'm going to send that to more. So here's the CPU column. When I sort it in descending order, I know that this process of ID 4, system process, is eating up a lot of processing power. Since I sorted this in descending order, and I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to say sort it in descending order, and I want you to give me only the first 5 of the highly processor utilization tasks. So if you look right here, right? So system, this audio DG, DWM, my camera recorder, and service host are the ones that are using up most amount of horsepower. So this is called a pipeline right over here. And it's called a pipeline because I'm taking a bunch of commandlets and I'm piping them together. Taking a bunch of commandlets and I'm piping them together. So the result of get process goes in here, and then the CPU column is processed in descending order. It's sorted, right? The CPU column. And then this goes further, and it selects me the top 5 from that descending order. The reason I get the top 5 is because this has already been sorted in descending order. That's why It's the top 5. Okay? So, let me show you one more thing. If I say pwd, pwd gives me print working directory or present working directory. This is one of the aliases that are working inside of PowerShell. Let me show you what I mean. If I say ps drive gives me the various aliases or the various names of PowerShell drives, if you will. Okay? So env environment is one of the PowerShell drives. If I do cd env colon, I go to the environment area. When I do a dir and I do a more, I see the name of the environment variable and I see the value. The name of the environment variable and the value, and so on, right? Here's a path and the value. Okay? So env is one of the ps drives. I can s drive. hkey local machine and hkey current user, hkcu and hklm are part of the registry, and hklm or hkey local machine will essentially take me right into the registry. Nice and easy. I kid you not, nice and easy. So it has a lot of power to gain access to resources. So if I said cd hklm colon cd software, now I'm in the software registry entry. My software hive under hkey local machine. If I open up the registry and I go to hkey local machine and I go to software, notice here's classes, clients, Corel, classes, clients, Corel, CVSM right here, default user environment, and so on. Notice that? Very powerful. And not only can I gain access to the registry, but I can manipulate it as well. Take me back to my C drive. Go to PS drive. And let me take you over to what I happen to also like called function. If I cd function, I can gain access to various functions, and notice C colon is a function that has been pre-written. Okay? There's prompt, that's a function that I wrote. So I want to show you what good function does. You can create your own functions to customize, among many other things, the PowerShell environment. Let's say I want to ping Google, right? So it's pinging Google. Let me change it to IPv4, right? So here's pinging Google. The problem with this pinging Google is that ping sends out 4 echo requests. Maybe that's too many for me. Maybe it takes too long to get the echo request back. I don't want to echo 4 times. Also, the time may be waiting too long. This waited 307 milliseconds before it came back. Maybe that's okay. Maybe that isn't. I'm going to create my own function. I'm going to call it I'm going to be referring to this as a wrapper function. I'm going to call it quick ping. And I'm going to say run ping with 1 echo request and wait 100 milliseconds and for whatever is being pinged. This args, this $args is a special variable that accepts arguments into anything. I called my function quick ping. And quick ping is using the ping exe, really. So if I say ping by itself, look, here's the -n. See it? Number of echo requests to send. I'm sending 1. And here's the -w. See this timeout? So here's a timeout. I forgot one thing. I want to do a -4 to make it IPv4 so that it doesn't send IPv6 requests. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say a -4. Then I'm going to say quick ping. Notice it sent only 1 request. Okay, and it just came back very, very quickly if it got the response. Isn't that great? So I'm able to customize anything I like by the creation of a function. I don't know how to spell. Function. And I do a dir quick ping. There's my quick ping function that I wrote. Very powerful. Okay. In similar manner, I can write, I can take a look at services. So if I say get service, and I do a pipe it to more, here are all the services. Notice I've got some that are stopped, right? I got some that are stopped and some that are running. What if I only want those services that are running? I can do this. I can say get service where object current object status is equal to running. There you go. These are all of the these are all of the running scripts. I mean running services. So this runs the get service. This filters out where the status of the current service. This is the current service. Property value, status. Current service, property value, status. That right there means current service from the list of services. I want to just look at the status column that equals running. I don't care about uppercase, lowercase. So these are all the running. And I'm piping that to more, which means give them to me one page at a time. Like so. Right? Close that. I can take this one step further. What if I said sort? It will sort them. Notice it sorted them in alphabetical order. Sort is short for sort object. Where object. If I just did where, it would work. I'll do you one better. Watch. If I said, instead of where object, I can use an alias. And the alias for where object is a question mark. And that will work the same way. And if I say, select name, and then I say, more, this will just list me just the names and nothing else. Right? If I say, get service, get member, more, it will list me all of the things, methods, properties, and notepad, note properties and script methods that I can run on the get service command line. So for example, I can stop a service, I can start a service, I can refresh a service, I can pause a service, and so on. Let me show you something. I'm going to start up services.msc, right? This over here. And I'm going to do Windows Update Service. You're familiar with that, aren't you? Sort this by name. I'm going to go down to the Windows Update Service right here. Notice this running. I'm going to go over here, move this, and move this in. Okay, so there's running Windows Update Service. See it right there? Okay, so I'm going to say get service Windows Update. There it is. I see the name is WUAUSCRV. That's the name of the service, but the display name is Windows Update. What if I wanted to stop that service? I can do this. I can say stop service Windows Update. It stopped it. Let me do a refresh over here. Look, stopped. Isn't that great? And I can simply do start service Windows Update. Go over here and do a restart. So as long as I have permissions to do so, I can stop and restart services. Isn't that neat? Let me show you something else. I'm going to close this and go over here. I'm going to say all procs. I'm going to close this notepad. Okay. all procs, and I'm going to say get process. So what is this? This is the variable $. The name of the variable is all procs, as you can see here. And then I'm storing in there everything that get process will return. So basically, all of the processes are listed here, right? All of the processes are listed here. Let's say I captured this at 9 a.m. somewhere. And then I'm going to say, you know what? Somewhere in the middle of the day, somebody started a process. Let's say somebody started Notepad process. They'd be dumb, right? And then at the end of the day, I do procs now get process. So now I've got all procs from before I opened up Notepad. And then I did procs now, which gives me the fact that I opened up Notepad. You guessed it. If I do all procs, it gives me all of them. If I do procs now, it gives me all of them. What if I wanted to find out what is the difference between all procs and procs now? Basically, what I want to see is that this Notepad process was started between the before and the after. So I can do this. I can say compare object all procs with procs now. And look what it says. It says, in addition to these things, Notepad started on the right-hand side. Look at that. And then it says, these background tasks and this runtime broker stopped. But definitively, Notepad started when you took this image. Isn't that neat? So very quickly, I can compare a couple of objects because I stored them, and then see what's different so that I can begin to take action. Okay? So very, very powerful. So that's something else that you can learn about very quickly with PowerShell. Right? I want to show you something else that I think you're going to find interesting. I have a VMware environment constructed in my world. And VMware allows me to, well, build virtual machines among a bunch of other things.